and he really did a good job for us going into training camp. So I was impressed with what I saw out of him. From what I saw in the tour duty last year and up until the season, and this tour duty now. He's night and day from what he was before, and it's speaks volumes about him.
You lost a lot of receiver reps. Got some talented kids coming in. How will this receiver group be different than last year?
Well, this receiver obviously will be faster than what we were before. And, you're right. We lost a lot of big play, bigger receivers, a lot of snaps on the perimeter. But I'm excited to see what these young guys can do because they're hungry. And you do have some guys in that room that's had a taste of success, but just not a lot of it. So I'm excited to see what those guys can do because we all talk about we want more at bats. Now you're going to get the opportunity to do that. And are you going to shy away from it, or are you going to embrace it? And take on the challenge.
What's the key for Hakeem Williams to take the next step?
Just got to be consistent. He's got to be consistent in his training, being consistent, taking care of his body, which he has been. Now he's got to carry out to the field. Just being a consistent ball fetcher. On the perimeter, he's got to be a physical young man. And the body that he has. We were doing the squat part the other day, and I'm like, dang, like I wish my body looked like that. But now he's got to go out and just put it on display.
Some of the young guys, like a Fryer, for example, others. Can you talk about those guys and what they bring to the table?
Well, when you talk about Cam Fryer, man, like he works his tail off. Unbelievable work ethic. He tries hard, he strains, he's tough. And you just see when you look at him work, you see a bad case of the wants. Just a blue collar, just hard nosed, just coach don't give me anything, I'm going to go out and work for him. And I'm excited for him. And, because that kid really worked his butt off in the tour duty. Then BJ Gibson is one as well. Kind of both did a little bit of baseball and football. Probably a little bit more football. And BJ early on in the tour duty was a little slower. Kind of catching on. But he's come along as well. Both of those guys in the squat party probably did the most out of all the receivers. Maybe all the skill guys. But they're both strong, young men. I'm excited for them. When you talk about Dwayne McCoy, he's missed a couple of days because of, a couple of things, sick. He still didn't miss a beat. In tour duty, we sent him back, multiple times. Every time it looked the same as far as his effort. And that's what you love to see when you bring those young guys in. And I think it's a good group of guys that want to work, guys that want to get better, guys that actually going to compete. So I'm really looking forward to those guys, battling this spring.
What were the biggest thing that jumped out when you started kind of recruiting and looking at Malik?
Well, I looked at Malik a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Before he decided to go. To another school. And the first thing he said when he got here was like, Coach, I should have came to Florida State. I'm like, no chance. I told you that. And his explosive movements, and the way he practiced. And those was one of the things when you look at a receiver, how does he practice? When you go out and you evaluate the guy. And his ball skills is really good. And he can run, not as vocal as he is now as a leader, but when you look at his explosive movements, you're like, wow, he can really impact us and help us this year, so that's what I saw in him early on when we were
When you talk about ball skills, coaches use that term a lot, and I think sometimes we listeners don't always understand what they mean by ball skills. Can you explain that to us? What do you mean by ball skills?
Well, when you talk about catching the football, it's all about technique, hand placement. Are you just catching? Are you tracking the ball with your eyes or just your hands? So when you talk about having those ball skills, some guys just have it. They're natural ball catchers, and some guys you got to work on, more than others. So those are the things that you look for skill set wise. I'm always tracking the football, where that ball is. Am I using my hands? It makes it really your fingertips, just having nimble fingertips, not catching with the balls with my hands, when you talk about tracking and catching the football.
Is it also when to jump and high point the ball? That's
Right.
timing.
Right. And when you watch on film and you recruit, does the guy go up and high point the football, or does he jump and catch the ball with his body? Is he a body catcher? Or does guys catch the ball away from their body? So those are some of the things that you look for and that you teach, when a young man gets here, when you see it.
I know you mentioned Malik earlier. What have been some of your first impressions of him and Jaylen Brown since they arrived at Florida State?
Well, when you talk about Malik, obviously he's played more than Jaylen. He's been on the field more, and not as many balls, thrown his way. But he's come in and he's shown that he could be a leader and lead that group, by his actions, and not just talking about it, So just one of the things that he's done is he's taken ownership in it, and his approach to everything that he's done since he's been here has really been on point. I know we hadn't put on the badge yet, and really that's what I'm waiting on.
Coach Travell talked about Kentron Poitier taking that next step. He wants him to take that next step. Do you think he's ready to take that next step?
He is. I thought Tron was ready to take that next step last year. He really had a really good spring for us last year, and unfortunately, he got hurt and went a little longer than expected. But I do feel like he's ready to take the next step. He's also tried to lead in that receiver room as well. Now he's got to go out and do it and be consistent doing it.
Even with the losses of Johnny and Keon, to have Kentron back and Ja'Kai and Deuce and Darion, to have that experience, how big is that for you guys?
I think it's really big because a lot of the guys you just named, they played for us last year, or the year before that. And they've all had their moments. So they've all had a taste of success. Now it's about going out and being consistent, with those guys, and leading by example on and off the football field, but now just going out and just being a consistent playmaker.
How exciting is it for you as a position coach? It's talent, but it's a lot of unknown kind of talent. Like, is that fun to get to mold that, or just to see, starting really tomorrow, what these guys are all about?
It's always fun, especially when you get a group of, whether it's new guys or young guys. It's always fun getting an opportunity to get your hand on and mold them and take them to where they can't go on their own. So I'm always excited when you do get a group of newcomers, eager to learn, willing to learn, that's coachable, and going out there and seeing the application when you leave the meeting room, or when you talk about the things in the tour of duty, you see the carryover on the football field and what they've done so far in the off season. So always excited to see like the development of guys.
And is it unique too? Like last year, especially when Keon came after the spring, you're like, okay, well, we kind of know who your two starting wide receivers are. Two of them anyway, with Johnny and Keon. This year, I imagine right now, as we talk in the middle of March, you have no idea who's going to be starting for you.
Everything's about it, and I'm excited about it because I know when I played here, and obviously we had the different names, the guys, but it was okay. After Andre Cooper and E.G. Green left, now who's next? And it kind of goes back to that. We had Vernon Coles, myself, Snoop, Anquan, Pete. So it's kind of like, okay, who's that next guy? Because you think about, like, I think Pete might have redshirted. I did. So you just didn't know, okay, who's going to take over? And it's kind of like that now. But I'm excited to see it and see where it goes. From the actions and the way these guys have been approaching this all season so far, it's going to be really good for us.
And is it, I'm not going to say it's a better wide receiver core than it was last year because you had two NFL guys, but is it deeper? Do you foresee it being deeper and certainly faster, I assume?
Yeah, I say deeper and faster. You got guys that can really take the top off in that room now, and really looking forward to that. Some things that we definitely need to clean up. Pushing the ball down the field. Getting more explosive plays on the perimeter, and guys that can you can get the ball in their hand and they can take it to the house. And that's what you're looking for this offseason, this spring, moving forward.
Van Dravius really came out last spring and impressed out of the gate. Which of the three true freshman wide receivers you think's the most ready to go entering the spring?
That's hard to say right now. I mean, they all I'll say this: they're all working. and they're working hard. You know, now it's putting it all together. You know, who can be consistent, who can retain the information, and who can go out and make plays. You know, so but all those guys are hungry. You know, so but if I had to just say which guy, like I'd say all of them right now, just kind of wait and see. I'm big on putting the pads on, man. So they look good running around, but until you get hit or until you get off a jam, until you go with somebody and make a play, you know, that's what I'm looking forward to.
And obviously Destin didn't get here until last summer. How big is it now for him to have a spring to acclimate?
Fast, he's done a really good job this offseason. You know, you see purpose, you see intent, you see a bad case of the wants, you know, and everything that he does, he's training, he's finishing. You know, this all season, I mean, you can tell that he really wants to be the guy. You know, so and he's showing that. Now he's got to go out and we got to do it in spring ball.
And can you see Hakeem? He started to make a jump, it felt like, last fall, to make another sizable jump and be a dude that can compete for a starting spot.
Yes, I do see that in Hakeem. Just because the way that the kid carries himself. You know, he does all the little things right. You know, and you can tell, you see how bad he really wants on the football field, and it was discouraging, you know, to him when he got hurt because he felt like, you know, his confidence had grown so much, and you know, just to, you know, take the air out of it, you know, it really hurt him a lot, you know. So he really wants to capitalize and take advantage of the next opportunity that he has because he felt like that was kind of taken away from him, you know, with the injury, you know. So just looking forward to that.